Welcome back to the channel. As today, we continue my deep dive into the 2024 NFL draft class, looking at my favorite position to watch, the cornerback position. I'll be going over my top 10. It's technically 11. We'll get to it. But if you keep watching till the end, I will talk about some of the other prospects maybe that I didn't get a chance to get to or that just didn't make the list. So watch the whole video. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love having that nice, beautiful, intimate football discourse with y'all all. I love y'all just shouting out your opinions, because here I am shouting out my bad takes. But it is what it is. Let's go ahead, get into number 10, Fentrell Cypress out of Florida State. Actually originally of Virginia, but he spent his first 4 seasons there at Virginia. Last year was kind of a breakout season for him in the making second team ACC, and he only played, I believe, 9 games because Virginia obviously missed 2 games because of the tragedy that happened there, but he also missed a game with an illness. Now he's going over to Florida State, looking to make a real big name for himself. I currently got a 3rd round grade on him. He's 6 foot 182, and I love the long build. He's just a nuisance at the catch point. I mean, those 9 pass breakups last season allowed a completion rate of 45%, and he only allowed a 4.5% open target rate. Kind of nuts. He mirrors receivers exceptionally well, and he just makes it look effortless. He displays really good footwork, nice recovery speed if he is down a step, just nice long strides, kind of helps make up that ground loss very quickly. I like the route anticipation. He's hardly put into a poor position. He stays low in his back pedal, very smooth out of that transition, whether it's to come downhill or to basically follow the receiver down the sideline. I like him a lot in off-zone coverage, and he has press man traits, but we primarily kind of seen him in off zone. I will say this, I don't think while he's a smooth athlete, he's not necessarily the most explosive. Does take him a few steps to get going, and he doesn't necessarily meet pass catchers underneath immediately. So if you're gonna have him in off coverage, then I don't think he's gonna be making a ton of plays underneath outside of just kind of securing tackles. I mean, maybe being able to jar the ball loose, but is what it is. When matched up, he doesn't always get his head around to make a play on the football. I felt like a few of his pass breakups actually should have been interceptions. But overall, man, he was someone that I was talking a lot about near the end of the season, and because I think I was talking about Anthony Johnson, his teammate there at Virginia, quite a bit, but Fentrell ends up going to Florida State, man, and that's a championship looking team. All right, on to number 9. He made the list last year, Tony Grimes, now at Texas A&M, and this is me saying, listen, I think Grimes is going to bounce back after a less than ideal year last season. He was formerly a 5-star recruit from the 2020 class. He was initially supposed to be the 2021 class, but after he found out that his high school was potentially going to just cancel or postpone the season, he reclassified to the 2020 class. And fun fact, man, he went to Princess Anne in Virginia Beach. That's my old stomping grounds there. But yeah, man, he joined the Tar Heels pretty stinking early. He also in high school took part in track and field, so that's nice. He's got a nice athletic background. He was not necessarily an immediate starter for the Tar Heels, but he did have 4 starts. He was primarily a special teamer, but in year 2 in 2021, he played all 13 games. That was the year that I was like, man, this guy can be a day 2 pick. I think I had a mid-day 2 last season in my grading. Again, this past season wasn't that ideal. He decided to transfer to a place that would better prepare him for the NFL and the NFL process. So now here he is at Texas A&M, who, yeah, they had some guys go in the draft. You had like Antonio Johnson, you had Jalen Jones. So they had some secondary players go in the draft. And I mean, they have a lot of talented secondary players there this season. I mean, we could talk about Damani Richardson, who I have thought would have declared the last 2 seasons. They have Tyreek Chappell, who he just missed the list here for me, but a little spoiler there. But I'm really expecting a bounce back year, man. He's got good size. He wins with good length. I like the physicality he plays with, like, especially going against fast receivers. He has that whole, hey, I'm going to lay hands on you and you're only going to be as fast as I'm willing to let you be. And I like that. I like that about him. He shows good closing speed. He just jams well at the line of scrimmage as well, reads and reacts fairly quickly. When it comes to the run, man, he comes downhill, exceptionally explosive. I like his understanding and recognition of route concepts and tendencies when he does drop into zone coverage. That great length combined with really good hops. Keep in mind, the guy back in high school did the long jump, means he's going to be challenging the catch point quite a bit. So there's a little bit of natural ball skills there. And I mean, in all honesty, at his size, 6 foot 190, I think in a pinch, if you need him to play safety, he certainly can. He's got the size, speed, and feel for coverage to do that. I will say, man, kind of a pass interference waiting to happen. Like, he likes to impose his will, his physicality on smaller receivers and thinner receivers, and that kind of leads to him getting just overtly handsy and trying to keep those shiftier guys in check. But I really wish he would bring the same type of physicality to bigger receivers, more physical guys. You just don't see that, man. All in all, he just needs to be more discreet with his hands. I think maybe just to add more, some more strength, especially when it comes to having to face off against bigger targets, whether it's in the run game when he's engaged in blocks or if it's downfield in coverage. So I'm willing to plant my flag in that Tony Grimes is going to have a bounce back year. I'm really am. At least it wasn't as bad as Storm Ducks. I'll just say that. He was now at Louisville. It was initially Penn State. Then he decided to go to Louisville. All right, so I think this next tier of corners is a jump. I think we're really getting into the flavor of this draft with these next guys, and I think like the legit contenders. We're gonna start with Chris Abrams-Draine, another player I thought was gonna come out last season, ended up deciding to return there, but he was a former 3-star recruit, 5'11", 178. So you may look at that and be like, slot size, but he played on the outside last season. Was actually very good. He really was. Fun fact about him, like I was looking at his recruiting past. So he was from the 2020 class, right? Played wide receiver in high school, but played quarterback his senior year. He also returned kicks and punts, and he was the runner-up to Mr. Football in Alabama. And you'd be like, oh, well, then who was first? Well, it was Kool-Aid McKinstry, who is going to be later on this list. But he tore his meniscus in that championship game. So he ends up going to Mizzou. Wasn't able to start at the beginning of the year as he was recovering from the torn meniscus. Did end up playing 5 games at wide receiver after the season. Made the transition to corner in 2021. He played in 13 games. 10 of those were starts, 8 of them in the slot. And I'm like, oh man, I like this guy's appeal in the slot. Dude's got legit return ability. In 2021, he had over 500 kick return yards with a tutty. And then in 2022, he moves to the outside and he was good. So you look at him and you're like, okay, maybe he's akin to like a Dante Jackson or a Darius Williams who can play on the outside. Keep in mind, it's not like he's been playing corner for a while. Like he was initially a wide receiver recruit. So I think it's really telling on how good he has been. So I'm willing to bet, even if he does end up just being a slot guy, I'm willing to bet that he might end up being able to play on the outside in the NFL, and I feel better about that in the mid-day 2 area. It's not like we're talking about this guy as a first rounder, but he's such a natural mover, quick feet. He shows this in a variety of different ways, whether it's explosion out the back pedal, downhill, just great movement skills, change of direction, closing speed, yada, 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 yada. He's just good. He has got the quicks. He's got the feet. Already has a good feel for the position, despite not playing it for a long time. Reads and reacts exceptionally well to what receivers are doing, and it's like he was a former receiver. I know, I'm shocked. Good length, despite the size, plays the catch point exceptionally well. He showcases ball skills, that of a receiver. That's my last time, I promise. But also good return ability, does a good job of making tackles on ball carriers bigger than him. He's like a missile, and he just pops ball carriers under the pads. You love to see it. I will say with Chris Abrams' drain, the size is kind of a big issue. Back in 2021, 78% of his snaps did come in the slot, did primarily play on the outside this past season, but his lean build is going to be a tough sell, and he probably should put on more mass. He can be baited by quarterbacks and bite on double moves by receivers, so he can be a bit overtly or overly aggressive in coverage. He's still, like I said, he's got a good feel for coverage, but still being relatively new to the position, that needs to get better, especially in zone. But big fan of Abrams' drain. Here we're gonna move on to number 7 here on the list, being Kamari Lassiter out of Georgia, coming in at 6 foot, 180. Someone who I thought may have been higher on my list, but I think this is a good spot for him. Him and the next two prospects, I feel like are kind of in the same ballpark. I feel like the other two are more similar to each other, because Lassiter, I think he brings more of a physical nature than the other two. That's good iced coffee. That is good iced coffee. But regardless, dude played baseball, basketball, ran track in high school, played wide receiver, played defensive back. So he kind of did it all, 3-sport athlete or 4-sport athlete. Mainly was a special teamer his freshman year. Last year was his first year of being a starter, so I do expect him to get better. Not to say he was bad last year, but I expect him to get better. He's got a nice long frame, shows up as a tackler. He's able to put his hands on ball carriers, otherwise he wouldn't be able to. Compared to most corners, the length just shows up in press. It shows up at the catch point. It's good. I like his ability to, he's just got good route recognition, good route anticipation. He plays downhill exceptionally well, knows how to navigate traffic to get to pass catchers or ball carriers. He generally uses his hands pretty darn well in coverage or in press specifically. Shows good power in those hands. He can be a bit more discreet. However, he is more of a technician than you'd expect from such a young player. Doesn't need to put on bulk. You get to that 180. You typically want your corners, or like 180 is not like a death nail or anything. Like typically you want guys that are around like the 185 to 190, but again, kind of just a little nitpick. Especially with the physical style he plays with, you kind of maybe want him to put on a little bit more weight. I don't know why I look so pink here. Kind of is what it is. I'm still figuring out the light in here. Might be. But he can prematurely open up his hips in press coverage. His footwork and his transition could be a bit more clean. But if he's a bit more patient early on, he just needs to be more patient early on in the route. Like overall, man, I like to see more consistency from him in year 2 as a starter, and I like to see more plays at the catch point. Only 2 pass breakups last season, but big fan of Lassiter. All right, number 6 here is Denzel Burke out of Ohio State, baby. Former 4-star recruit out of the 2021 class. Out of Scottsdale, Arizona. Hey, that's just a little north my way. What can I say? 6'1", 191. Used to play wide receiver and defensive back in high school. And only played 1 year, his senior year in high school, because of a shoulder injury. In his freshman season, started all 13 games. He was a first-team all-freshman. Love to see it. Love to see it. And then he started 11 games, did miss the Wisconsin game with a finger injury, and then he also missed the Indiana game. Suited up for both those, but was decided to be a no-go because of the injuries. I don't want y'all to think he was I don't want y'all to think that he was pulled for like disciplinary. I don't know why I can't say that word. It is what it is. He did struggle through a shoulder injury preseason through camp in 2022. So yeah, I put a little note, a little red flag here. It's like, oh, he's been beat up recently. I just want to see him stay healthy like he did his freshman season. And that could go a long way. Because you could tell like he looked less physical in 2022. And it probably showed up most as a tackler. But yeah, I don't know, man. I want to see him stay healthy, especially if even if it means playing a little less physical. But I don't know. I think he needs to clean up some stuff about like with his tackling technique and whatnot. But he's got a good long frame, 6'1", 190, very powerful hands, smooth mover, ideal press corner traits for the NFL, plus athlete. Like you could see legit bunnies at the catch point. The man could jump high. I like how he plays and just high points the football. His first interception, I think it was against Rutgers, went for a pick 6. That was in 2021. And his press technique, exceptionally solid. Like his jabs can be debilitating to the route timing for quarterbacks and wide receivers. He has the quicks to stick with shifty receivers underneath. There's like no fear in his game in the run game. And I mean, I like how he plays run support, but he is a bit of a headhunter. Maybe just be more of a, hey, wrap you up. Especially if it's causing, especially if it caused a lot of those injuries. I don't know. Maybe those are just connecting dots that aren't meant to be connected. So there could be really no correlation to that. But it is something that's going to be in the back of teams' minds. Like, ooh, this guy maybe needs to be less physical because he keeps getting beat up. So just kind of putting that out there. He's, in general, just a tough task for a receiver to block. So you really love that about his game. That's why I got a second round grade on this guy. Like he's borderline first, really. It's just you want to see that consistency in year 2. Year 3 as a full-time start, because he had a banger freshman season. Last season, not ideal. You want to kind of see him wrap this thing up in a pretty bow. He can be a bit sloppy in his transition. He simply reacts late, whether it's turning and running with receivers or planting his foot to come downhill. He can get his feet tied up and find himself a step behind early in routes. He has a knack for giving up the big play. If you look last season, he allowed 5 receptions that went for 25 or more yards, with 2 being touchdowns. So it wasn't an ideal year for him last year, and I'm not going to pretend like it wasn't. All right, who do we got next on the list? I'll tell you who. It's Jason Marshall Jr. out of Florida. I feel like him and Burke are very similar in terms of they need to have bounce back seasons. But this cat was a former 5-star recruit coming out of Miami Palmetto High School. Played 13 games with 6 starts as a freshman, but then he started every game last season, and the dude's got a good frame, 6'1", 197. That's a good frame, good size, great length. He excels in the face of receivers. He presents a strong core, strong hands, and he can stick in the hip pockets of receivers all the way downfield. You're like, hey, I'm gonna go on this 9 route. Like, aye, bruh. I'm not even gonna be right behind you. I'm gonna be right beside you Love it. Very fluid mover, shows good speed when needing to come downhill, does a good job mirroring receivers, and could stick with quicker, shiftier receivers or pass catchers. Overall, just a really good athlete, showcases good closing speed, good recovery speed. He can read and react a little quicker. If he can, then I could see a bit more splash plays. Like, he had 8 pass breakups, but only 1 interception. So I don't know, maybe he could get that interception number up with a bit more just clicking and closing, just things kind of slowing down for him up in his head. Plays with good physicality, won't shy away from bigger ball carriers coming downhill, but I will say he doesn't offer much against the run. He's consistently getting to ball carriers, or he doesn't consistently get to ball carriers on the perimeter. He does struggle to shed blocks. Even when he doesn't, he isn't the most consistent finisher of a tackler because he kind of has a big hitter mentality. I'd like to see him do a better job just getting his head around and making plays on the ball. Sometimes he's just too content putting his hands in the face of receivers, and I want to see turn around, make a play on the ball. I just want to see that. Sometimes out of his back pedal, he kind of struggles and just doesn't know the sweet spot to which he can use his hands. Like, either he's too soft with his hands and needs to make up ground, or he just commits a blatant pass interference. So, like, all in all, man, like, I think between Jason Marshall, Denzel Burke, and Kamari Lassiter, like, you got 3 guys that are like prime press corners who just need to kind of have a solid season, and they could be in this first round discussion, in my opinion. I mean, I think they're all really good. They're all, like, I think top 50, top 40 players. Now, we're going to move to Javon Bullard. He's not officially in my corners list. He's a safety, or he would have been in my safety video, but I had him as a corner in my summer eval, right? So when I got to him, I was like, this guy is a slot corner. I can't see him playing on the outside. He's a slot only, in my opinion. I probably would have included him in the safety list. So this is kind of like, we're going to detour from my actual corner rankings and talk about Jamal Bullard, because he deserves talked about, man. I think he's a top 40 guy, top 50, top 40. Got a second round grade on him. And man, there is a lot to like about him. There really is. He's 5'11", 180. Yeah. He's undersized. He can't play. I don't want to see. It's not to say he can't necessarily play on the outside. It's just there's a lot not, like, you're just kind of betting for the exception. To be fair, if you were to bet on the exception, he might be it. Former 3-star recruit coming out of the 2021 class, so not necessarily the highest rated recruit for a Georgia team, but I don't know, maybe that put a little chip on his shoulder, being undersized as well. But he played running back, played wide receiver and defensive back in high school, mainly a special teamer in his first year for Georgia. But then he came in, played in 14 games, and started 10 in the slot and was a monster. I will note he was suspended for the Mizzou game because of a DUI charge that was eventually dropped, but you got to throw that out there. Just saying. Might be undersized, but boy, he makes it up, like, being with his physicality. The dude is a dog. DAWG. He's a dog. Like, legit. He plays with his hair on fire. He flies around the field like a rocket, will throw caution to the wind as a tackler. Like, one of, like, my favorite clips were the Ohio State game, and I think I probably watched the Ohio State game second or third when it came to Bullard, because I kind of watched him and Lassiter at the same time. But he covered a ton of ground. I kind of got to set the scene. I'm pretty confident C.J. Stroud was throwing this ball away but it got a lot under it, and it actually was kind of catchable in the back of the end zone for a top 5 talent like Marvin Harrison Jr. So he makes a play on it. But I mean, this ball sat in air. And Bullard was like, oh, I could cover this ground across the field. I'm not going to let him make that catch. And he literally knocked Marvin Harrison out of the game. As Charlie Murphy would say, cold-blooded. Oh, it was nasty. Saved the touchdown and knocked out the best playmaker on Ohio State's team. It's kind of wild. This dude plays exceptionally well around the line of scrimmage. Like, he knows how to get nimble between blocks. Also helps with block size, but good short area quickness. Attacks very well underneath, and he can make plays in the backfield. I think he had like 6 pressures and 4 sacks last season. He wreaked havoc on Hendon Hooker last year. He had 2 sacks on Hendon Hooker. It was kind of nuts. He displays very good footwork, good change of direction, quick feet, explosiveness. He closes ground exceptionally well in both the run game and the passing game. He's able to mirror anybody on the field. He is hard to block in the run game by receivers because he can flat out lay out blockers. He plays with exceptionally good leverage, good contact balance, and good power. But he is undersized. And can he be more than just a slot in the NFL? Because he's too light to really play consistently in the box. I think perhaps he can probably I'm willing to bet he could play on the outside. I really am. This is just a very gifted athlete. I feel like maybe akin to like a Troy Hill, Darius Williams, you know? His tackling style, he just throws his body. He's literally just throwing his freaking body. It's not a consistent one when it comes to the NFL. Like, he loves throwing that body around there. So with his size, it may be like, oh, there might be concerns with him getting hurt. Overall, either he needs to put on size, and he needs to not always be this hit stick guy. He just reel up on it a little bit. Not every hit's got to be a hit stick. Not every hit. It'll just, again, it could lead to injury. It also, in the NFL, it will lead to more of a higher missed tackle rate. All in all, though, even if you don't see him as an outside corner, that's a hell of a good slot option. Imagine, like, we saw how high Jartavius Martin ended up going. To be fair, I feel like some people thought like he probably has like free safety ability as well. But I would say Bullard's a much better prospect. Though both were really good, man. I don't want to hate on Martin. That was my guy last year. All right, let's go back to the corner list with my number 4. It's Dwight McLovin out of Arkansas. And he has the nickname. I don't know if people use it. Arkansas at least listed this as a nickname. McLove. Not McLovin. McLove. I guess that's kind of cool. So back in high school, he played both sides of the football, ended his high school career with over 2,500 receiving yards and 34 touchdowns. Also participated in track and field, running the 200 and the 400 meter, as well as high jumps and long jumps. This past summer, I love getting shout outs to just guys being good guys. This past summer, he helped organize a free youth camp for kids. Good on you, McLove. Initially, he played at LSU. His first 2 seasons. He had 6 starts in 2021, but decided to transfer after the year. And he goes to Arkansas last season, 13 starts. Second team all SEC, man. 11 pass breakups, 4 interceptions. Dude was freaking phenomenal, man. 6'2", 190. He has good size, good length. It's just ideal for it's an ideal size for an outside corner. He covers ground very quickly because of his long strides. He flashes really good ball skills, as I mentioned, those 4 interceptions, 11 pass breakups. He is a former receiver, so ball skills should be a little bit more natural to him. Shows a good understanding and anticipation of routes. Like, he clicks and closes extremely quickly. He's already had a few pick sixes in his career. and he's just got very powerful hands. He is he's just a nuisance at the catch point. He shows very good hand-eye coordination and displays that peanut punch, man. I love it. He forced 2 forced fumbles last season because of it. I'm trying to think, who was the rip away against? It was Junkins, right? In the Ole Miss game. So he just came up. Junkins was being slowed down by someone else. And he was like, I see the football there. I think I'm going to take it. And he did. Golly, I love that. I love it. Good straight line speed. Comes downhill with some steam. Very fluid when flipping his hips. Overall, just a good athlete. I will say he can look a bit clunky, changing directions, and sometimes he struggles to mirror quicker or more nuanced route runners. This often leads to him getting too handsy. He did have 10 penalties last season. Just something to put out there. Sometimes he just needs to secure the tackle rather than just trying to grab the football. But all in all, man, I came away really liking him. Like, I don't know if many people are talking about him yet. I've seen a few people here and there, but not really. But I walked away like, oh man, I think this guy could have a big rise. Like, I think he's ready now. Like, I think a lot of his games are already well put together. So, big fan of McGlove. All right, on to number 3. It's Kalen Keene. I would have him very close to McLove here. I got a first-round grade on him. And I mean, just to preface this, I think Joey Porter Jr. was slightly a better prospect as of right now. I think they're both very... I mean, they're not similar players in terms of size, length, and whatnot. But in terms of what they gave you, they're very close. They're very close to where I would have had them. I think I had Porter as a top 20 guy. Kalen Keene's not too far past that, but is what it is, man. He's actually got a twin brother that plays for Penn State as well, so that's kind of nuts. Kobe, shout out to you, Kobe Keene. But yeah, was the full-time starter last season, made all Big 12 second team, and he's coming in at 5'11", 191. He plays the position how every defensive coach wants a player to play the position. He plays with very good physicality. He shows really good instincts. He's willing to throw his body around and consistently finds and puts himself in the action. Like, he clicks and closes, reads and reacts extremely quickly, comes downhill with a head of steam. He is a constant nuisance in the run game and the screen game. He's blown up quite a bit of screens in just last season. He's shown ball skills, 3 interceptions, 9 pass breakups last season. Dude's just always around the catch point. As you can tell, I mean, just look at that, 45.8% completion rate allowed. Very good number there. Dude's a very fluid athlete when mirroring pass catchers. He shows smooth hips and discreet hands, good footwork. He plays with good leverage toward the sideline. He's very, very aware of his surroundings. You just like to see that. It's just he kind of lacks some elite traits in terms of his long speed, his short area burst. It's just not to an elite level, I would say. Like, if he gives players too much cushion, he can be exploited underneath on quicker hidden routes. It does play tall when given cushion, and when it comes time to like plant that foot to like come downhill, he doesn't have that necessary explosiveness. So trying to get a little smaller, a little lower in his back pedal. And he does play with the want to be physical, but he doesn't always finish tackles. Sometimes he struggles disengaging from blocks by bigger receivers. But all in all, man, I look at him and it's like, good player, productive player. I'm willing to bet on that. It's very similar to, I guess you would say, the McLove I just talked about. But I think these next 2 prospects are far and away the top guys in this corner class. And we're going to start with Cooper DeJean. out of Iowa, who might not even end up being a corner. I got a top 20 grade on him. Very interesting background, so let's talk about a former 4-star recruit out of the 2021 class from Battle Creek, Ida Grove High School. Battle Creek, man. You know, Rob Van Dam was from Battle Creek, Michigan. I think now he's in Hollywood or something, LA. Fun wrestling fact, I don't know. He played both quarterback and defensive back in high school. He also played basketball, baseball, and ran track. His parents were All-American athletes at Huron University. Had no idea that was even a university, but I found out it was. Dad played basketball, mom played softball. He is the state's leading scorer in high school basketball, or at least he is second, right behind Minnesota Vikings TJ Hawkinson, but he is ahead of Sacramento Kings forward Harrison Barnes. I was like, I think I was more surprised that, wait, TJ Hawkinson's like Iowa's high school state leader in basketball, like points? I didn't know that. Fun fact. So that's kind of cool. He had the fastest 100-yard dash of any runner in state during his senior year. He did end up choosing to play, obviously, defensive back for Iowa, but he was offered a scholarship by South Dakota State to play quarterback. Stupid interesting background. Then going to his freshman year, he was mainly a special teamer, but he won the Next Man In award for Iowa, but started all 13 games last year. First team All Big Ten. He was the Music City Bowl MVP. The dude is just an incredible athlete at 6'1", 207. I really think he could probably played any sport he wanted to and probably found some success in it. He plays with good speed, agility, physicality. Don't necessarily think he's like his explosiveness is top tier. I don't think it's that, but I don't think by any means is he I don't say he's, it's just not elite explosiveness. It's like, it's fine. He's fine. But like, he's got good agility, good speed, good play speed, good game speed. Like, he plays with good discipline and off coverage. No kidding, he plays at Iowa. Those guys are extremely disciplined. Displays very good short area quicks when closing underneath, which kind of leads me to think, okay, maybe they play him, because he did play a little bit in the box last season. So, like, maybe he moves to safety. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Iowa does with him. When he breaks on the football, it's a scary thing because scary thing for the offense, because when he creates turnovers, sometimes they go to the end zone. He had 3 pick sixes last year. Kind of nuts. He had no problem mirroring any variety of pass catchers and tracks the ball very well in air. He plays with good balance, loose hips, attacks the ball well in air. I don't know why I put that twice in there, but kind of is what it is. He may have the best run. He may be the best run defender in this class. Plays with really good feet, out in space. Plays with good strength. Whether it's in the box or around the line of scrimmage, he's a very sure tackler. 3.9% missed tackle rate this past season. And like I said, he just didn't play on the outside. He also played in the slot. He played in the box. He has special teams experience, whether it's as a returner or as a gunner, like all around. The dude's just a gamer. I will say sometimes he probably could take better ankles when pursuing tacklers towards the sideline. And sometimes he is a little high on the back pedal, which kind of leads to why he might not necessarily be as explosive out of his back pedal. I think he'd probably get a little bit lower. And all in all, man, I got a top 20 grade on him, whether he wants to be a safety, whether he wants to be a corner. I'm a big fan of him, but should come to no surprise. You saw him on the thumbnail. My number 1 is Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. Remember, this dude was Mr. Alabama football in 2022, taking it from the hands of Chris Abrams' drain. But he was a 5-star recruit, and this is kind of fun. He was given the nickname Kool-Aid by his grandmother because of his smile as a baby, and not because they can throw him through a brick wall. That joke will be funny for some people. But anywho, he made 6 starts his freshman year, did make SEC all-freshman team. Started 13 games last year, also handled return duties. He was second team All-American. Listen, 6'1", 195, good build. Yeah, a little lean, but not bad lean. Like, I think a part of that's just because his length, which just means he can fill out his frame even more. Keep in mind, man, this guy is like 20 years old, so he's been putting on positive weight. So he's put on 7 pounds of muscle since last season. So like I said, young, he's going to be able to put on weight relatively easy and do it in a healthy way. Great blend of length, speed, explosiveness. He is really good attacking downhill. It shows very good short area quicks and the ability to close underneath. I really like how he uses his hands, whether it's at the line of scrimmage, during the route, or at the catch point. He has that peanut punch, so to speak, and was second in college football last season in forced incompletions. In zone, he's very instinctive. He reads and reacts very quickly. He displays good route anticipation and recognition. Likewise, he does a good job in man coverage, mirroring pass catchers that can get in his head around to make a play on the ball. Like, no kidding. The dude has legit ball skills. He had 16 pass breakups, only 1 interception, but the dude has return capabilities. So those interceptions, if he picks off a pass, it is dangerous. There are times he does get overly handsy when he feels he's being beat, but the dude has the recovery speed to make up for it. So I just want to see him be sometimes more discreet with his hands. I did mention the return ability, did have 2 muffs in 2022, but that's fine because we're looking at him as a corner prospect. All in all, man, I got him as a top 10. I think he's going to be a blue chipper. I'm a big fan of his. Shouldn't come as a surprise that he's number 1. But let's talk about some guys who did not make the list, or some guys that I just didn't get to here. So these are I really wanted to mention these 2 because they're both young, and I think depending on how well they do this year, I think they could be first rounders, if not this year, but maybe in 2025. And it's Nate Wiggins from Clemson, who is just a phenomenal athlete, who's kind of had an interesting journey in maturity where he was kind of in the doghouse his freshman year, and then he comes back and he becomes this reliable starter, quasi leader for this defense at Clemson. And then Kobe Bryant, not the Black Mamba, but Kobe Bryant at Kansas, who is just super lean. He's 6'1", 175. Like, dude needs to put on more weight, but he plays extremely physical, and he is a legit playmaker. I still think there's some parts of his game he needs to iron out, but like, I thought he was someone I was like, man, it feels like he's a year away. Like it feels like maybe this year it's like, wow, yeah, this guy's a first rounder. Like, those were the 2 guys where I was like blown away with. They're in this like subcategory for me. Like, I got 3rd round grades on them, but they're in this subcategory where I'm like, if I'm willing to pick like this like first rounder out of nowhere, those are the 2 guys, Nate Wiggins and Kobe Bryant. And then you got like Josh Newton, older prospect, just solid, just good, kind of 4th round grade on him. I did look at the Auburn corner tandem in Nehemiah Pritchett and DJ James, and I don't know if people are going to hype them up, but I walked away, I was like, they're mid, they're like 5th, 6th rounders. Kind of where I think I put Pritchett as a 4th rounder, but they were kind of mid to me. I really wanted to like the last person I watched for this list, and I really wanted because I heard a lot of good things, was Quinion Mitchell out of Toledo, and he's 6', 200, and I had to check out that Northern Illinois, the 4 interception, 2 pick 6 game. And I was like, he looks fine enough as an athlete. Like, they ask him to play a lot of off coverage, and I'm like kind of curious what he can do in press. And then I go to the Ohio State game where it's like, yeah, okay, he had trouble against the Ohio State receivers. Like, it wasn't like, I didn't think he was ever like over his head in that game, but you could tell definitely like the tier and talent between, like, even he was even struggling with Julian Fleming at times. But Fleming's fine in his own right too. Like, was a good player for Ohio State. So someone who I think's more in like the early day 3, mid day 3 mix. And kind of this other, someone I really wanted to shout out was DeJean Gaddy Jr. He was originally out of North Texas. I thought he was going to come out last year, but now he makes the move to Ole Miss, so I'm very excited for him. I will mention some of the guys that I did not get to. I wanted to get to Max Melton, especially now he's fresh off his NIL deal out of Rutgers, but I just didn't get a chance to. I'm hoping to do that maybe next month when I kind of like, I have more time and I can kind of like watch like these guys that I didn't get to, but I really wanted to, and just kind of watch in my leisure. We got Jaquan Shepard. He's at Maryland, but he was initially at Cincinnati. I know Ian Cummins is pretty high on him, so someone I really wanted to like dive into. I think those, for the most part, those were the only guys that I really have listed here. Let me know other names in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing, but as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.